Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a night to say thank you to each and every one of you who are here tonight. This is not the result that we wanted, but I've congratulated Judge Moore. I've already talked to him on the phone. Melissa and I wish him the best. We're Republicans. We care very much about this country, care very much about this state, and we wish him the best going forward as he faces the next challenge. You know, one of my favorite prayers that I really lean on asks us to give thanks to God for setting us at tasks that teach us to rely on Him alone. The hard tasks, the things that are tough, that in the end of the day, you have to rely on something way more powerful than yourself. You're navigating through waters you don't always understand. And if at the end of that voyage, you end up thinking, who can I rely on? It's God. That's the kind of prayer that really means something. And boy, have we set ourselves to a task in this race. It absolutely was a task of a lifetime. We're dealing with a political environment that I've never had any experience with. I worked in the North Sea as a merchant marine with my friend Neil Elliott. We had some rough seas. We had some seas that almost turned us over. But I'm telling you, the seas, the political winds in this country right now are very hard to navigate. They're very hard to understand. So it's been a tough deal. I couldn't be any prouder of the campaign that we ran. You know, I'm an old athlete, basketball player, and we left everything out on the field. There's nothing else, or if you want to use the court analogy, on the court. We did everything we possibly could. I wouldn't change it at all. There's a lot of winds blowing politically, as I said. It'll take a scorecard to sort all that out, a lot of agendas in this country. I'm going to leave it to the pundits to figure all that out. My focus has always been on Alabama, people of our great state, and really making a difference. I'll take comfort in the words of President Teddy Roosevelt, who said it's really not the pundits, the critics that count. It's the man in the arena, or the man and woman, or the woman who's in the arena. They're the ones that really make the difference. And I'm going to continue to do everything I can to encourage our citizens, especially our young folks, to get involved in the arena. We have to have them involved. That's the future of our state. So what I want to do is what I've always wanted to do, and I would have said this if I'd won or lost. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to every single person in this room, every single person. I grew up less than a mile from here, and from coaches to teachers to young life ministers and mentors and friends and best friends, they shaped me to be who I am. And to be back here, a stone's throw from where I went to elementary school, to say thank you for your votes, your prayers, your encouragement, just the kindness along the trail in a very harsh and tough political environment. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Give yourselves a hand, really. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to the citizens of Alabama. You know, I've been very lucky. It's kind of like sports. Maybe that prepared me for this. You win some games. I've lost some last-second games. I've won some last-second games. I played in overtime. You go back in the locker room, and you think, what could I have done different? Everybody tomorrow will have an opinion about what pass we should have thrown or what play we should have called or whatever. I'm not going to lose any sleep tonight. We did the right thing. We did it the right way. And I want to say, I want to say thank you to the citizens of this state, not just friends and supporters and people who voted for me, but all the citizens of this state. I've been honored to serve for 6 years as Attorney General during the most contentious times in recent state history, where we had to clean up Montgomery, where we had to get justice for the Gulf of Mexico and the biggest environmental disaster. I was lucky enough to serve in the United States Senate at a time when we have a new president, a time when we can confirm conservative judges to the Supreme Court, a time we could really make a difference. So I've been blessed, and I want to thank the citizens for giving me the highest honor I can possibly imagine all across the state. As you're listening tonight, I want to just say thank you to you. I want to say thank you to my campaign team. They're here. They've worked their you-know-what's off, and I want to thank them. It's not for lack of a good campaign team. It all boils down to the person who was running, and I take full responsibility for success and failure. I've had plenty of success, and I haven't won everyone either, and I want to take responsibility for that, and I do that. I want to thank my office staff and everybody that works for me in Washington. If you'd raise your hands, I know lots of them are here. I wish you'd give them a hand, folks. They work tirelessly for the citizens of Alabama, and they do it because they love our state. And they're going to continue to do that for the remaining time that I'm in the Senate. They are magnificent public servants, and I want to thank them. Kevin Turner, my chief of staff, needs special recognition. I know Kevin's here somewhere. I won't seek him out, but Kevin's the kind of sharp young person you need to be successful in politics. Started out as driving me around and ended up being my chief of staff as AG in the Senate, and has not only been a great campaign friend, but also a great public servant, and has given up a lot of opportunity to do that and serve the people of this state. And I just want him to know how much I appreciate that. I want to thank the President of the United States. Let's thank the President. The President took a chance. He didn't have to come down. I'm sure he'll be criticized for coming to campaign for me. That's what loyal friends do. Sometimes it's more than politics. Sometimes it's about just a friendship, just a common goal to make the country better, and to bond when you come to Washington as a newcomer, if you will, and you sort of see the shoals you got to navigate. I can't explain why he was willing to take that risk, except that he's a friend and a loyal friend. And if this causes him any trouble, it's not his fault. The fault always lies in the candidate or the head coach or the guy who's holding the ball, and that's my responsibility. I want to thank the Vice President. He came here last night. He's a great conservative leader, the President of the Senate, a guy I've gotten to know over time, a great conservative Christian person of great faith. Driving to the rally last night, many of you attended, we got a chance to talk about what was really important. And he said, you know, Luther, really, I'm glad to be here for you, but there's so many bigger things involved in the world than just one political campaign. Keep your eye on the ball. You and Melissa are a wonderful couple. You know, for a person to come with all things going on in the world and say that about you and willing to sacrifice, that's the kind of person you want in a foxhole. And America's lucky to have Mike Pence as our vice president. Very lucky. I want to thank Richard Shelby. I took his place as the tallest guy in the Senate. I set a record as tallest guy in the Senate, but Richard was a friend for 30 years. He took me under his arm when I came to Washington, has been a great mentor, has supported me throughout this process. And when things get tough, it's always nice to have a guy you can go walk down the hall and say, have you ever seen anything like this? And he's been in politics for a long time, and he had to say the other day, I've never seen anything like this. Nobody's seen anything like this. I want to thank Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions was my mentor when I came into politics. Jeff got me into politics. He was a great Attorney General, and I was glad to take his place as Attorney General and follow his lead. He was a great senator for 20 years, and I was honored to take his place in the United States Senate and to sit in the seat that he sits in now in the Senate. Jeff's going to be a great Attorney General for our country, and I want to thank Jeff and Mary for being such dear friends of ours. Finally, I want to thank my Senate colleagues. The Senate is a magnificent institution. In the short time I've been there, I've been able to sit and reflect on the great debates that have been held there. Think about the things that we argue about now. They seem kind of petty when you think about slavery. You think about civil rights, when you think about voting rights, when you think about wars, world wars. And even though we're in an incredibly contentious time with swirling passions, it's nothing compared to some of the things that have been handled in the United States Senate. And I will tell you right now, as someone who's been privileged to sit there, that it will be a magnificent place. It has its problems. People will get very frustrated with it. No one more frustrated than I. But I promise you, the problems facing our country will be solved there. The friends I've made there will be lifelong friends. And I want you to have confidence in the institutions of this country as I do. So let's give a hand to the Senate and the colleagues there. And finally, you thought I was going to forget this. The most important thing that I can say tonight is how much I appreciate Melissa and my family. She has put up with more than any one person should have to bear. And she really learned what, for better or worse, really means. But for 36 years, it's been all for the better. And 1 week ago tonight, 7 days ago, almost exactly, I got to hold my second grandson in my arms, young James Strange, who came into the world. And I'll tell you, as we face this whirlwind and this unpredictable political environment, to hold him in my hands and look at the next generation and say, wow, why do we really do this? Why do you put yourself through this? Why do you really care? Why do you fight these wars? It's for that generation. It's for those beautiful young children that are going to come next after us. It really is. So let me leave you with this. I'll leave you with what I have on my bedside, and I look at it every morning, and Melissa gets tired of me talking about it, but we both look at it together because it's right there. It's my favorite Bible verse, and it's one that someone gave me when I came into politics, and it's Proverbs 19:21, and it says, "Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that will prevail." I truly believe that. I take that to heart every day. And I have no doubt of the truth of that verse as I leave here tonight. So I want to say one more time, thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of you in this room, from both of us, from all of our hearts. God bless each and every one of you, and good night. Thank you.